shabadoos are rock hard.
What could, I mean, like $34 back when he was our age could buy you like an entire Sears Roebuck house.
Yeah, that's what he paid for the farm.
Sears and Roebuck house. Yeah.
That was Barb's engagement ring back in the day.
All right, I think that's good. We're going to start now.
Okay.
This is Rock Hard Caucus, episode 75. Is 75 an important anniversary?
Oh, it definitely is.
What's the anniversary gift for 75 years?
Yeah.
What do we have to give each other? Some kind of precious metal?
Yeah,
it's
it feels like
diamonds.
we've been doing this for 75 years. Am I right?
It's diamonds.
Oh, wow. This is Rock Hard Caucus Diamond Anniversary.
Diamond Hard Caucus.
Blown your entire load then? What do you get at 100 years? Or 100 episodes? Aren't diamonds like...
that's the best rock.
Tungsten. All of the NFT guys are into tungsten because it's really heavy and it's like a cool thing you can buy with crypto money, I guess, now. Cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
Not money. Not currency either.
How high do they go with those like anniversary gifts?
Yeah. Well,
What's the longest anyone's been married?
Yeah. It would be quite an accomplishment to be married for 100 years.
Yeah.
Just be married as babies. They used to do that.
Yeah.
Alternatively, let's see here. So the 70th is platinum. 75th is diamond or gold or both. And 80th, for your 80th anniversary, you give each other a pearl or another diamond. For 85th, sapphire or diamond again.
So they're repeating a lot of these. Yeah.
Yeah. At 90th, you get an emerald.
Wow. A chaos emerald.
Mined from the Musk Emerald mines in Africa. 95th, you get a ruby. Or a diamond.
This is theoretical. I think this is theoretical at this point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's made
These
it
are for
this far.
transhumanists.
Guess what you get for your 100th anniversary?
A bionic eyeball.
Paper.
A diamond, but it has to be worth $10K.
They put monetary value on it. Wow.
Yeah. Or a bionic eyeball.
One of them is paper, right? Like an early anniversary.
Yeah, like the 5th year. Everyone gets paper. Like
Everyone gets paper. I love the idea of the first year being like the Lent anniversary.
You get a loose button.
Yeah. Well, in some ways, our 75th episode is our paper anniversary because we won a few of these, which are on paper.
It's like a heavy cardstock, maybe.
Yeah.
For listeners at home.
Yeah, we're on Zoom right now, so we can see each other, but if you're listening to this, you can't see us. So you don't know what I just showed everyone.
Damn. That sucks.
I'm not going to tell them either. No, I was showing Stella, Natalie, and Evan one of our $20 gift certificates to Ray Gun, our favorite store.
Friend of the pod.
And we won a few of these because we were voted the best local podcast in the Little Village Magazine's Best of the Crandyke Awards.
I think it's Crandick.
It's Crandick. Come on. That sounds cooler.
I've heard both. I don't know.
I think we have to thank our listeners for making this happen after your impassioned plea, Justin. After your appeal to the masses.
Yes. Thank you guys so much for voting for us so that we could win these Ray Gun gift certificates.
Yeah. If you were in line, you stayed in line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here, I've got what it said in the magazine right here. On page 44, if you look at it, we're like the third award down here. It says Best Local Podcast, Rock Hard Caucus, and it's got our website right below that, which is, as you all know, rockhardcock.us. And I was hoping for like some sort of write-up about the show or like anything about what this is. But I guess no one at Little Village listens. That's what I'm assuming.
Or they do, and that's why they didn't do it.
It's very possible we've upset someone.
It says here, this is the only thing it says. In quotes, it says, they have swag.
That's right. Iowa's swaggiest podcast, in addition to also being the meanest and or nicest podcast.
And they have to, like, they have rigorous fact checking. So if it's in print, like, factually, we have
It's true.
swag.
It's canon.
Yeah.
Yes.
Please edit in Swag OD by Soulja Boy featuring Lil B. Right here.
And that quote, they have swag, is attributed to John G., who is our friend from South Dakota. John from Radio Free South Dakota. So shout out to John. Oh, wait, he lives in South Dakota. Maybe he shouldn't have voted.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Scandal.
But anyway, we won. We have swag. Do we need to celebrate in any other way?
No, not really.
Well, on with the episode then. So in recent news, the Department of Justice released a new report about their investigation of the Glenwood Resource Center, which we covered extensively back in like the 50s, like episode 50-something.
During the Eisenhower administration of the podcast.
Yeah. We went through their whole report on the Glenwood Resource Center. I think that's one of our best episodes, so if you haven't listened to that, give that a listen.
Episode 55.
This is sort of a follow-up on that. So if you listen to that episode, you know that most of the previous report was about how the state of Iowa is violating the 14th Amendment rights of disabled individuals by allowing the resource centers to experiment on them without their consent, and just like a bunch of neglect and all that. It's pretty horrifying if you read the whole thing. And then this report is shorter, and it's mostly focused on how the state is violating the Americans with Disabilities Act. And it outlines how basically the state is just like funneling people with intellectual and developmental disabilities into these institutions because they're not really funding any other like community-based services. They're just shoving them into a building so no one has to think about them anymore, essentially. And it amounts to segregation of people with these intellectual disabilities. It's about a 30-page report. I just picked out like a couple things to mention to you guys.
And this is the federal government investigating.
Yes, this is a report from the United States Department of Justice. Civil Rights Division.
It's pretty shitty everywhere you look at it, but especially because like one of the main architects of the Americans with Disabilities Act was an Iowan, Tom Harkin. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't think about that context. So this one, they talk a little bit about the Woodward Resource Center also, which I don't think got a lot of attention in the first report.
It's bad.
Yeah, from all accounts, it's like the same shit. Yeah.
Well, I have a close friend actually who worked there for a few years, and very similar as Glenwood, where like this place is basically the main employer in the town of Woodward. Yeah. And I think a lot of the individuals who are living there, not only do they have disabilities, they've also they are sexual offenders of all ages. And she no longer works there, so I feel okay saying this, but like chronically understaffed.
Yeah.
You know, people having to restrain residents, things like that. It could get really scary really fast with both staff folks who were working without the support that they needed, and residents also. Like when you have to restrain someone, that can get really dicey really fast.
Yeah, that was a big part of the Glenwood report, was how they use restraint like way more than they should be.
Yeah, because it's like one of the only tools in their toolbox.
Yeah. And the understaffing is also a big part of this, and like a lot of turnover among the staff. Like they talk about in this report how ideally like every resident of these facilities would have some sort of plan for moving out of these facilities and back living in the community. And even when they like move in that direction, like staff is like helping them sort of reach certain goals to move towards that. Like the staff isn't going to last long enough to actually see that through, so it never ends up happening. And residents are just waiting forever to be able to move out. And a lot of times it's just like they aren't being provided with information about alternatives. And so they're just stuck there and they don't know any other, alternative. Here's how they, quickly summarize it at the beginning. In sum, Iowa's system of care requires people with IDD, that's intellectual and developmental disabilities, to live in segregated facilities to receive the services they need and for which they are eligible under Medicaid. This segregation is unnecessary and violates the ADA. They talk a little bit here about how under Iowa's Medicaid program, Iowa Medicaid Enterprise contracts with MCOs to deliver Medicaid health services.
Yeah, that's privatization.
Right, exactly. We have privatized Medicaid, which makes this all worse. And in a footnote, they say MCOs receive a monthly capitation payment, which is a predetermined amount of money paid by the state on behalf of each enrollee to cover the cost of providing covered services. The
Sounds
actual,
like if you keep their head attached to their body, you get the
yeah, I mean, basically, because it says the actual services beneficiaries receive during the covered period do not affect the amount paid. So they're incentivized to like provide as little services as they can to these people because they're just getting a flat fee no matter what, like regardless of how they care for the person. And they show here like how it's worse in Iowa than most places. In 35 states, between 0 and 25 people with IDD live in an ICF. There's a lot of acronyms also. ICF is an intermediate care facility. So in 35 states, it's 0 to 25 people per every 100,000 in the population living in one of these facilities. But Iowa is one of only 5 states with more than twice that rate of ICF utilization. It houses more than 51 people per 100,000. So it's, basically twice as worse in Iowa than almost anywhere else. Well, here's an example of, here. For example, one Glenwood resident reportedly has talked about wanting to live in the community since arriving at the facility in 2007. So that's someone that's been there almost 15 years. And they talk about some people who have lived in these facilities for like 50 years. It's crazy. Although his interest wavers when staff warn him that he might not be able to do things he likes in the community. Ironically, Glenwood's records showed he had not been able to participate in all of his desired activities while living there, stating, knowing that this resident likes to go out and he would prefer to go on every activity, but he has to take turns with his roommates, encourage him to get involved with playing board games with peers on the weekends so he is not so bored. So they're sort of like deterring a resident from like making steps to leave the facility by saying, out in the world, you might not be able to go on field trips or whatever. Meanwhile, he's also not going on field trips while living there. So it's, yeah.
It's like gaslighting all of them.
Yeah. And I mentioned how they're not providing like information to these residents and their families about alternatives. Here's a quote here. In 2021, the state published an online guide to community resources, but this was simply a list of programs and organizations without the individualization residents or guardians would need to envision a community transition. On the topic of community providers, the guide was not helpful because it directed readers to a list of mental health and disability service providers in Iowa that did not differentiate services by type of disability or specify the types of services providers offered beyond very general categories. So basically they set up a website with a list of places. And it's like, yeah, that works.
Yeah, I think that definitely reflects like when I was working for maybe bleep this out, in Iowa City, and they do like group homes, and then they also do like, whatever. It's really tailored to the individual needs of the person with a disability. So if they are able to live independently, but they need someone to come in during the day for a few hours and help them out or take them to go get their groceries or whatever, down to like folks who need 24/7 support, as well as like employment programs. It's making me like hearing this makes me realize how good it is, because constant review about like what are the goals of the individual, what do they want to do, like where do they want to go and how do we help them get there and make sure they have a good quality of life and that sort of thing. But I think one thing that's really a big component of this is a lot of the individuals we served at had parents or family members who were really advocating for them and who were, interacting with them and part of their lives. Whereas it's just a very difficult thing to navigate if you're trying to get services that are going to benefit your loved one. Those services might not exist, but you have to be their advocate at every step of the way to make sure that they're not falling through the cracks or ending up in a place where they're just told they have to stay inside and play board games when they'd rather be out in the community.
Yeah. And what you're describing is a better option than these resource centers, which are supposed to be a last resort. Preferably they'd be living in a group home or somewhere where they're not just fenced off from the rest of the world.
Yeah, exactly.
They shut down. So kind of an interesting thing I didn't know until my brother-in-law has very low functioning Downs. Mm-hmm. And have you guys heard of Options in Lynn County?
Yeah, I think so.
So it was a sheltered workshop. And so some of them are really bad. It's a very controversial thing because sometimes sheltered workshops are taking advantage of people with disabilities, but sometimes they're not. So at Options, they would have quote unquote jobs for the people there to do, but it was just stuffing envelopes or stringing keys, something to feel very adult and useful. So they would come home with a paycheck, but the people who were there were very low functioning. This weren't jobs that would be filled by someone who, didn't have an IDD. This isn't a job, but it was too expensive of a program. And so what they did to attempt to shut it down was mandate that it had to pay minimum wage.
Oh, yeah. That's why I've heard of Options. I remember that.
Yeah. So, but the thing is it's not a job. So you can't, they don't have the resources to pay people minimum wage because it's not a job that someone else would take. And the people who are there have to have many case managers there working with them the whole time. So because it's very low functioning, and my brother-in-law has seizures and is very close to nonverbal, and it's just a way to give people some dignity and a place to go during the day, and the pride of he would always be I'm going to work tomorrow, are you going to work tomorrow? It was a really good resource, but because you're able to sell it as we're taking advantage of people, we're not paying minimum wage, so we're going to do community integration instead, where they'll be in the community instead of in these workshops. But the problem is that it was just shut down because there wasn't an alternative, and there wasn't a place that they could go work where they had the one-on-one care of someone helping them. And so basically it just turned into a daycare, and he's slid back really bad because it's just coloring and very low stimulation, and it's really frustrating the way that people will use rhetoric to backdoor shut down programs, to say we're taking advantage of people because they're not getting paid minimum wage, and any well-intentioned person would hear that, even especially me. If I would be oh yeah, that's outrageous, but not every program is the same, and sometimes they're attempting to just shut down the program by doing that because the people staffing it are state people who are in a union and who have education, and so it's expensive.
Yeah, they were presenting it like it was prison labor or something.
Yeah, exploitative.
Yeah. And there are certainly really bad sheltered workshops, but there's no differentiation, and they're just using this really bad faith rhetoric to shut down Options. So he goes to daycare during the day and is really backslid on stuff because he's not doing something stimulating. He's just sitting there.
Yeah.
It's just so bad in Iowa.
Yeah. Speaking of wages, the Department of Justice illustrates the point that the state is really only investing in these resource centers, which are, again, supposed to be a last resort for these people, as opposed to investing in community programs and services. They illustrate that point by saying the average direct support professional's starting wage is $11.98.
Wow.
Oh my God.
That's gone up since when I did it.
Why would it, oh my God.
That is such a, when I worked for loved it so much, and if it paid a living wage, I would still be doing it. It was a great job. I mean, there were days I was like, I can't believe I'm getting paid to do this. I'm having so much fun. And then other days I'd be like, there is no amount of money in the world that would compensate me for what I just had to clean up. But
I've known lots of people that have worked there, and it's, everyone has the same story.
There was it was kind of controversial when Johnson County wanted to go to a $10 minimum wage for everything, because a lot of DSPs like myself would do, they're called sleep overnights, where you go over to the house and you are asleep for 8 hours, and then you help the residents get up and get ready for work or their day program or whatever. And they were paying us at I think a $7 wage for each hour that we were asleep. And then they had to go up to $10 an hour. I'm I was straight up asleep. And it just, I think the real solution is, instead of putting financial burdens on these programs, make these things work when the people doing the work, DSP, even if you're asleep, you should still be making a fair wage and able to.
Someone could wake you up. You're there for a reason.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly,
totally. Instead of, it's kind of for the options thing too. Why not pay the folks who are taking part in these programs minimum wage? Put more money into it. You know,
that's the problem, is with the limited resources, it leads to things getting shut down.
Yep.
Instead of it's a backdoor way to shut things down, instead of saying we're going to invest more so that, they have more spending money. Yep. And we're also having, I'm not opposed to it. It's just this was a way to shut it down. It was totally bad faith.
It's not the fault of the workshop. It's the fault of the state not funding the workshop.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So the people in what Stella was doing, they're making $11.98 on average, and by comparison, at the Woodward Resource Center, the starting wage is $17.96, which is still not enough to deal with what they're dealing with there, but it's a lot better.
It is better, and they have fantastic benefits, and so a lot of people, even though they had a lot of turnover, would make that their career, because it was such a good employer with relatively high wages for the area. But you would come home covered in bruises. You were getting beat up pretty much all day. It's hard on your body. It can be a really physical job sometimes. And even at, I never had clients that were physical or had really severe behavioral issues, but we had to take trainings on basically if a resident starts to attack you, how do you try to, your main focus is protecting them, ideally. And it's less about how do you protect yourself? How do you calm down the resident with the least amount of harm to them?
Yeah, right. A couple other things. They mentioned that both Woodward and Glenwood have been operating without a psychology director for a while now. We spoke with some providers who employ staff with the clinical skills and credentials to perform necessary services in-house, including completing behavioral assessments, developing behavior support plans, and training staff to implement those plans. However, they are not reimbursed for these services. And that excerpt really jumped out to me. The people who are actually putting in the effort to make this not where everyone gets stuck for the rest of their lives, they aren't even being paid to do that, I guess. It's bizarre.
Sounds like a not-for-profit.
Yeah.
Right.
If you don't care about it, if you're not completely invested in it, of course you should give up your labor for free. Don't you care about it? Don't you care about these people?
Oh boy. And this is a point that they bring up a few times. Without adequate mental health and behavioral supports, people who currently live in the community with these disabilities are at risk of police involvement. So I found it interesting that multiple times in this Department of Justice report, they acknowledge how disastrous police intervention would be for all of these people with disabilities. So they recognize that, cops should basically never interact with people with intellectual disabilities.
How much do they get an hour? Do you know, Justin?
Oh,
Yeah,
What's their hourly wage?
Well, they have a good union. The only union that's allowed to like do anything.
It just sucks. I mean, like the type of people that I met who were working at like some of the most generous and caring people you could expect to meet, and I don't know a single person who's still working there, probably like who was working there when I was, just because like it's unsustainable. Yeah,
you can't do it for your whole life. They also show here that data from the state shows that it's less expensive to provide community-based services than it is to put people into these institutions. And they have the numbers. It's like between $68,000 and $226,000 for like community-based services, and it's like $374,000 per year in a resource center. So like significantly more expensive.
That's huge. Yeah.
Yeah. So they say here, in addition to the individual benefits of community living, so like it's actually a better life for these people, supporting people to live in the community often saves money. And this is my favorite part. It's, and then this part is in quotation marks, just smart. They don't like attribute that quote to anybody. It's just like, just smart is in quotations. It's just smart. And to wrap things up, here's how they conclude this report. For the foregoing reasons, we conclude that there is reasonable cause to believe that the state fails to provide services to people with IDD in the most integrated setting appropriate to their needs in violation of the ADA. The state plans, administers, and funds its public healthcare service system in a manner that unnecessarily segregates people with intellectual disabilities in the resource centers, and almost certainly many other institutions, rather than providing these services where people live in their community. So it's like 33 pages about how Iowa is doing a bad job.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that's news to you.
It very much reminds me of just the way that after all of the mental institutions were shut down under Reagan, how people were shuttled into jails instead. Mm-hmm. And it's essentially the same thing here. Obviously, seems like there's alternatives that are not being pursued just because it's not a priority for the state.
Yeah. I will link the PDF of that report in this episode if you would like to read more. I do think it's worth your time because they get into the details, and you'll know just really how bad it can be for people with disabilities here.
I think we'd all agree like the ethical thing would be to prioritize their quality of life, but it's especially damning when, you know, even if you're a capitalist to your bones, like, oh, well, the least expensive option is the ethical option.
Also,
how often
the most
does that
humane.
happen? Yeah.
Well, it happens, like, that's how it is with healthcare too.
Yeah,
it's just
you're right.
Like, there are people who benefit from the status quo, and so they are incentivized to keep it that way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But do you guys want to talk about something a lot more fun now?
Of course.
I've got a video here if you are interested in watching a video with me.
Is this is the preview to the speech itself, or is this the speech?
Yeah, this is the preview.
Okay. Because we have to watch them in order.
Let me make sure my audio is working. Do you hear this?
Oh, yes. Yeah, baby.
All right, right on.
The sweet tinkle.
Yeah, I skipped to the middle because I didn't want to spoil, like, you know, the beginning, which is the most important part.
All right, do we each have our cup of hot cocoa with the number of marshmallows to our desire?
No, I have a glass of water.
Yeah, I've got my can of Major Melon Zero. It's canon that I drink Major Melon.
Christmas says it's different things for different people. I mean, it's like what 70 degrees outside.
Yeah, for
right
real.
now, December
it's
in
gonna
Iowa.
Be 70 on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Nothing makes me feel more like I have Christmas cheer than the fireball that is our planet.
Watermelons are green and red, so it's Christmas. All right, so this is a video that Joni Ernst tweeted the other day in anticipation of a floor speech she was going to give. And maybe I'll clip this part and put it on our YouTube so we can watch it together with the listeners. But audio only for the podcast. Sorry, guys.
I have not seen this yet, but this thumbnail is intriguing.
Speaking of thumbnails, Evan, clock her nail polish color. It will be important. And also clock the window outside. Looks like a very snowy scene. Is she at the North Pole right now?
Oh my God.
Well, I'm assuming this is green screen, right?
Spoiler!
Okay, sorry, but here, let's play the video. Play the fucking video. There we go.
If, like Mariah, you don't want a lot for Christmas, this may be your year. Be sure to tune into my floor speech this afternoon to find out why.
Ugh.
Oh, man.
You know your girl loves puns, but tune in. That is the most ham-handed bullshit.
Yeah.
So what do you guys, like, just watching that, what do you think the floor speech is going to cover? What are your predictions, Evan, since you haven't seen it?
I hope it covers those decor in this green screen background. Kind of intrigued by those little deer figures on the mantle there. I don't know. I hope she busts out like a whole xylophone set, and she gets through all of the Christmas classics.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hoping.
That would be ideal.
Yeah, so if you haven't seen the video, she is playing she's approximating the opening to All I Want for Christmas Is You by Mariah Carey on her little bell kit here.
Fisher Price Tykes, my first xylophone.
Yeah. Well, I know Natalie has watched this probably 100 times, so I should let her do the forensic analysis.
Yeah.
So we have some things to note here. First of all, if you take a look at the keys, do you see there are numbers on them on the ones she's going to use.
Yes.
So
yes.
Damn.
She has little sticky notes on them because she can't remember how to play All I Want for Christmas Is You on this children's xylophone. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4.
She has zero musical skills apparently, because it's numbered all the way to the end. There's little tiny sticks on it, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Every single note she needs numbered. She needs the whole sequence put out.
So, and if you watch this video, when she's actually playing it, it cuts really close.
It's just hands.
It's just hands. So the actual playing, she's clearly not doing. And if you take a look at her nails there, they're clearly a dark green. But if you look at her floor speech, they clearly tried to make it similar, but they're gold. And then, okay, so take a look, go back to the regular screen, the full screen and not the zoom in on the xylophone.
Yeah.
So if you take a look here.
Look at that fire.
Look at that fire.
Yeah.
So first of all, I looked up her office, and her office has a green wall, which you obviously don't see here. And so she's clearly using a green screen. And if you take a look at the window to her left, it looks
what shade of green is the wall in her office? Because maybe that doubles as a green screen.
Oh, that's true.
Her office is set up like a TV studio.
That's probably it.
This is Joe Biden's basement. She's actually there right now.
And if you take a look at the window to the left, it looks like a winter wonderland. But if you look up the weather in DC the day of her speech, it was 53 degrees out and clear. So we are clearly in front of a screen here. And you can see when it's not zoomed in on her hands, she isn't quite on beat. So they're
it's the same when it's zoomed in too. You hear the notes slightly before she actually strikes.
Yes. So even with the numbered keys.
If she did play it, which big if, but I would bet she probably biffed 80% of the notes. So they had to just play the actual, someone else had to do it. They had to bring in a ringer, a non-union musician, likely.
It's clearly multiple takes. Here, let me start it again so we can watch the sync. Also,
That
let me
last
point out.
note is
yeah,
wrong.
the last note is incorrect.
She can't even do it with numbered keys and with interns playing part of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
someone transcribed it wrong.
Yeah.
If she didn't give you the clue that that's what it was, I would have no idea what the fuck she was playing.
There's no rhythm to it. It's just like
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Mhm.
I just need to play them in this order.
Yeah.
Like, why is this your like strategy if you don't have the ability to pull it off?
Well,
Like, do a different shtick.
it's because the Make 'em Squeal video was so successful. It catapulted her, much like a hog's testicle being forcefully extracted from its ball sack to the United States Senate. And she's like, this is my winning strategy. Her team is all about these cutesy little viral, moments. So I think, like, when I watched that, she's like, okay, she's telling us that we're getting nothing for Christmas. And she says, if that's what you like, then this might be your year. What? No one wants that for Christmas. Like,
Yeah, hold on. What'd she say? Because I was so distracted by like the shitty puns that I
Yeah.
lost like any meaning.
what she's saying is complete
If,
nonsense.
like Mariah, you don't want a lot for Christmas, this may be your year.
Oh, okay. So if you don't want anything, now is the time to not want things. It's
Yeah,
a good
which,
time to not
like-
get anything.
She's always trying to put Christ in Christmas. Like, are you saying that you are sick of the commercialization of this holiday, Joni? No, that's not what she's saying.
She's saying the opposite.
Is this about inflation? Is she going to
Oh,
say
yeah,
that no one
baby.
can buy?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, no one can afford Christmas presents this year, so
Yeah.
Mhm,
Because
basically, yeah.
and
Wow.
I don't think she's coined this, but when we get to the floor speech, she uses the term Biden economics, which
Ooh.
It's better than that actually.
oh, is it?
Yeah, we'll get there though. Okay, so I want to like make sure this is all like on the record. They are playing this in the right key. The song is in G. She's playing it in G. But like we said, the last note is wrong. So if you listen to the Mariah Carey song, it's like arpeggiating a G major 7. But the way she ends it on the F sharp. But in the song, they go back down to D. Okay? So it's... She plays da 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 da, but it's da 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 da.
Why
Yes,
is
it
the
is.
American flag flapping in the moon landing video? There is no atmosphere on the moon. There is no wind.
And I think the reason like the rhythm, like what you hear is not quite in sync with what you see is because she completely lacks any like rhythmic sensibility.
Well, she's a
So
white
she's
lady
like-
from Iowa.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
They're putting multiple takes together, and because like none of them are gonna match up because she's not like she's got no internal metronome. Like they have
Yeah.
to fudge it.
She has no
Yeah.
heartbeat.
Uh,
How many times do you think they had to do this take? Like, how many takes? She's not one take Joni.
Yeah. Well, let's see. Let's see. There's one there, 2, 3, 4. I mean, I'm guessing it's at least 5 because that's what we see. We see 5 cuts, and there's no way that they just like recorded 2 and spliced them together.
Yeah.
which, like, I feel like the angle and stuff you would have to be able to see the camera. So, like, it has to be a bunch of takes spliced together. And, like, it's just clearly off rhythm. One thing I find really offensive as well is if you look up her most recent photos of her office, there's no fucking Christmas tree in there. That's why they need a green screen. And I just find that to be really offensive
Yes.
against our Lord and Savior.
Wow.
Because there's no Christmas tree in her office.
Joni Ernst, War on Christmas?
Does she even believe in Christmas?
Oh my God. Also,
Wow.
like, who came up with this concept? Like, the xylophone. She's like, I got a xylophone. I gotta break it out. Like, there's so many other ways that they could have done this promo.
I'm
without-
pretty sure Joni Ernst staffers are not known for their musical or artistic ability. I don't think that's like high on the CV.
It's just like bullshit because, like, the hog castration was awesome. And then it immediately turns into this schlock
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what Christmas does to the best of us. I think there's a larger lesson there. I think you're uncovering a really great point, Natalie.
It's for sure the green wall in her office is for sure what they do it on. Right? You should look up her office and see if it seems right.
Yeah.
So,
anyway. Do we want to watch a little bit of the floor speech that she was hyping up here?
Yes.
I do.
Okay.
And I also want to ask, or just know, like, does she have to get the rights to All I Want for Christmas? To
Mariah would never.
Mariah would never. And I think it's very purposeful. Like, yes, All I Want for Christmas is a very popular Christmas song, but she chose a Mariah song because Mariah is the elusive chanteuse. She will not be engaging with Joni about her politics. Like, if she tried this with, like, a Cardi B Christmas song, Cardi would be all over her online.
Yeah.
Is there a Cardi
Mariah
B
Carey's too
Christmas
busy
song?
doing like McDonald's commercials and shit.
That would be great. Cardi B should do a Christmas album. With Megan the reindeer. White ass Christmas for snow.
Okay, so this is her floor speech. I mean, the whole like idea about this is strange too. Like, you need to release a trailer
It's
for
so
a floor
convoluted.
speech in the Senate. Like, are people actually excited about this? like, why would you care?
Do you hear what I hear?
Another thing, why are senators always, they have like visual aids now, and I think it's really annoying. Like big posters, whiteboards.
Oh, yeah.
Her thing. More than
Joni
anyone.
loves. Yeah, I mean, yeah, she's like I said. Conservatives are not known for their art skills.
I know that Bernie does that sometimes too. I don't know if he like spearheaded that trend or what.
Oh, it's fine when he does it.
As usual, yeah.
Yeah.
The things we criticize other senators for, it's fine when Bernie does it.
Yeah. And so for our listeners who don't want to watch this video, and we do not blame you, it's like a big poster of Mariah Carey's album cover for All I Want for Christmas Is You.
Yeah, she has a few of these, so we'll see the other ones.
Okay.
Pawing of each little hoof of Santa's 8 tiny reindeer will be heard on the roof. There's a joyful sound that denotes the coming of the Yuletide season in just a few instantly recognizable notes.
But you couldn't recognize them because you played it wrong. No one knows what you're talking about if you haven't seen the commercial.
And the way she like emphasizes certain words, like denotes 8 tiny hoofs.
Yeah, very halting like speech style.
Mm-hmm.
It's so deranged to see a senator standing in front of a full-size Mariah Carey.
Right. Like, aren't Bernie's visual displays like graphs and charts and shit?
Yeah,
and like she just comes out with just a fucking just a crop of
Carey.
Yeah.
I have seen Bernie come to the floor with big printed out tweets, so.
Oh.
That's fine.
Those are important.
This song is about like, I don't want presents. I want like a person. I want to be around
together.
You know, like that's what the holidays are really about.
The actual meaning of the season.
Yeah. Not Joni's interpretation, as we are about to see.
The song is taking on a whole new meaning this season. If, like Mariah, you don't want a lot for Christmas.
Let me just pause there to say she's repeating what she said in that other video. This is just copying.
And don't care about the presents underneath the Christmas tree. This may be your year. That's because Bidenomics is causing everything.
Bidenomics.
You have no better way to do that.
Yeah, it's such a tortured metaphor. Like if you have to explain 5 different points around where like the pop cultural reference and what your point. This is like she did a bunch of cocaine and this sounded like a really good winning message.
doing a bunch of cocaine and numbering my xylophone. Being a senator.
Wow.
To be back ordered, delayed, unavailable, or just plain unaffordable. Even Christmas trees are in short supply. So don't be surprised if your only option to deck the halls this year looks like Charlie Brown's sad little twig of a fir tree branch.
Right. And what was the point of that in the Charlie Brown Christmas special?
Yeah.
Like his tiny tree is not supposed to be like, haha, idiot.
Yeah. Charlie Brown, are you fucking poor?
Poor broke bitch.
Joni does not watch the end of any Christmas movie. She does not get the point. She's never stayed for the full church service.
This seems like kind of rich people shit also. Like, are there people buying Christmas trees, like new Christmas trees every year?
Yeah, like, doesn't everyone have their tree? You just get one tree.
You get one fake tree.
Yeah.
And then you use that for the rest of your life.
I get a real tree because I hate the environment and I want to fucking kill as many trees as I can during my time on this earth.
No, we are
Is anyone actually having trouble? Family. I've never seen. There's always a tree available somewhere. Like, I don't. Yeah. This isn't real.
It's also like, I mean, I think there's definitely something to be said for like Americans think we can get anything we want on demand if we like, and it should be cheap, and we should get it like in 5 minutes. The fact that that's not the case is, and that we're waking up to maybe that's a bad thing for the planet, and like we don't really need all that shit. Maybe that's a good realization. Yeah,
the fact that like several huge crises on the planet have just slightly inconvenienced that notion that we can't get every single thing as cheap as possible as soon as possible. Like, these are very small like inconveniences. Like, sometimes I go in the CVS and they don't have fudge rounds on the shelf. Like, oh no.
Also, a lot of this is just because of businesses are gouging people too. It's not like the Federal Reserve like people like conservatives always just be like, oh, it's like the Biden Federal Reserve Board or whatever the fuck. But it's like in a lot of cases, like they're inflating prices because they can.
The president,
and like it doesn't have anything to do with their inputs. Yeah,
the president has no control over fucking inflation, and also like
the president chooses not to have control over inflation.
In America, like 500,000 people died and are continuing to die. Like maybe that has something to do as well with the supply chain as well.
All those people are gone. And it's not like health insurance executives.
Yeah. I don't care if my relative isn't around the tree as long as the tree looks great and there's tons of shit under that tree.
Yeah.
And I get exactly what color ornament I want at exactly that moment.
Yeah.
That would be an interesting twist if she's talking about how you can't get what you want for Christmas because your loved one that you wanted is actually dead.
All I want for Christmas is you. Shit out of luck.
Thanks a lot, Bidenomics.
Yeah.
All right, I do want to get a few more of her like awful puns and references to Christmas songs in.
Whether shopping at a store or online, we are all experiencing it. With the cost of gifts up 20% and consumer prices surging to the highest level in over 30 years, you are paying a whole lot more.
Oh my God.
Lot less. That is,
that brings up another point. That brings up another point that I think is really important. No one has to pay for presents because Santa makes them and delivers them.
Yeah.
What is she talking about?
What is Santa on the floor?
They should replace the entire supply chain with flying
Santa
fucking sleighs and reindeers and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
did she
Evan
say
gets it.
At the beginning, she said the reindeers were tiny.
They're tiny little hoofs.
They're not like small though, right? That's not part of
They're
the
really
mythology. Yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty large.
Is she saying they're getting smaller because they're more expensive?
Yeah, they don't get enough to eat, so they're shrinking by the moment.
Santa's like his old reindeer team died of COVID, and he's recruiting younger baby reindeer. Or he couldn't afford, like, he dissolved the reindeer union because he couldn't afford them anymore.
Yeah.
He's hired tiny reindeer scabs.
Perhaps the most telling sign of the times, the Dollar Tree, which had to discontinue selling some of its popular products.
Oh
Pause.
my God.
What are Dollar Tree's popular products? Can we list them? What are the Dollar Tree's popular products?
Did she think she could go there and get a $1 Christmas tree? That's never been a product.
Also, you know where those products come from, Joni? They come from China.
Dooku,
The Dollar
Dooku
Tree, that's some
cost
like great example of American capitalism. Like, come on.
Yeah. I think Dollar Tree is doing very well, actually, considering they open more stores every day and like take over all of rural America.
Yeah, everyone's hungry, so they buy food at the Dollar Tree.
Yep.
The Dollar Tree, which had to discontinue
I know I'm repeating this, but there's like a little slip up here that I want to highlight.
selling some of its popular products due to cost
Dooku.
Dooku.
Okay, and like dollar stores are usually not all $1. It just means cheap as fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I know Dollar Tree calls itself everything's $1, but like, first of all, no, it's not. I love Dollar Tree. It's not true.
Yeah,
And
they changed it.
Like, usually dollar stores doesn't mean a literal dollar. It just means like rock bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's not they don't have popular products. They have products that other stores couldn't sell, and then they buy them in bulk off of them.
Yeah, those are actually quite unpopular products.
Yeah, they're like, if they're in a dollar store, that means some other store bought them and then sold them to a dollar store because they couldn't sell them.
Yeah.
Where are you guys buying your Dooku's, though?
The Dollar Tree, which had to discontinue selling some of its popular products due to cost constraints,
Dooku.
is
Count
raising
Dooku.
prices
Yeah.
to $1.25.
Oh,
Yeah. She
No.
paused for laughs there, and no one in the Senate is
slide
buying it.
2.
Elf on the shelf. Fuck
President
yeah.
Biden's contribution to this year's season of giving could best be summed up by an elf on an empty shelf. After all, the Biden administration has ignored, dismissed, and even contributed to the conditions causing these economic hardships. Speaking at the White House just last week, the president...
Okay, this is kind of boring. Nice elf on an empty shelf, though. That's a really good one.
Yeah, I believe that's definitely an off-brand elf on the shelf. And
It is an off-brand elf on the shelf. That's not correct.
I'm more inclined to believe that this was taken in her office than any part of that video. Because, like, there's, like, an empty shelf and then, like, a bookcase. Like, what fucking
what's that in
store
the
is
back?
this?
Yeah, that's
This was
definitely not a
They
store.
created this photo. Like, this is original photography.
You know, I think, like, it's kind of good for us to not have access to everything we want every single second. Like, you know,
Yeah.
I think it's good for us to get used to, like, sometimes you're not going to have things in supply. And
Yeah.
I've switched to buying, like, all of my clothing and my kids' clothing secondhand. And, like, it's a really good way to be like, okay, like, you don't have exactly the right thing that you want right this second. So you don't come back, keep an eye on it. Like, it's good for you to, like, not be able to access everything on demand at any moment, because it does make you think of where things come from.
Absolutely. Like, maybe
Yeah.
we shouldn't have access to blueberries 12 months a year. And I say that as someone who eats blueberries every fucking day. And,
Every
like, people-
meal.
yeah, people have to.
You're that
I
girl
mean,
from
like-
Willy Wonka.
Yeah, watch out.
Yeah, I think to your point, Natalie, like if you're aware of like this invisible labor and what have been like invisible supply chains, like that's only a good thing.
It makes you think about where it comes from. Also, I'm really caught up by the fact that this is a fake Elf on the Shelf. Also, do you guys know how much an Elf on the Shelf costs?
No.
I didn't realize it was like a specific branded product.
It's a specific branded thing. First of all, it's a fucking scam. They try to make a brand new tradition that you're like obligated to be all cutesy and
it's
like
an
make your
invented mythology.
make your narc-ass elf do like all kinds of adorable things every day. Train your kid to support the surveillance state.
Yeah, this is
not
about
do
Biden.
Elf on the Shelf.
This is about Biden continuing the surveillance state here.
Yes,
this is about
'cause
consumerism.
Okay, but really, guess how much an Elf on the Shelf costs?
$1.25.
$30.
I was gonna say 50, but I have no idea.
If you want to have a girl Elf on the Shelf, you have to buy a like Velcro skirt for $20.
Wow.
Oh,
What? That is the pink tax at work.
Yeah.
And you have to buy her little razor, her pink razor, and her fake eyelashes.
You have to buy her estrogen.
This is not a real Elf on the Shelf. That is like a Dollar Tree stuffed elf.
Well,
I think like
supply
honestly,
chain.
like if they were like staying true to like the elves of folklore, like they're all androgynous. Like you could very easily just like consider all elves to be genderless. Like they're not really, they don't need to exist within that binary. And you shouldn't have to buy a new skirt for them. That's what I'm saying.
I heard something recently about how Bernard from the Santa Claus movies is like a non-binary androgynous icon, which I'm sure for everyone on the call I can speak for when I say like Bernard was our sexual awakening.
Oh my God, yes.
I don't know. I wasn't really interested in Bernard.
I had to Google who that is. Because I don't think I've seen that movie, to be honest.
Really? The Tim Allen classic.
Or it's sequels.
I mean, I know.
Where
I know the premise.
Yeah.
I was more interested in the like inflation transformation aspect of that movie. Like, oh, you mean there's like some magical way where I can just like very, very quickly
become Santa,
inflate myself? Like, that's what I was sexually interested in.
Well, you have to kill Santa, and then you become Santa. And then there's all these, like, Santa's never reading the fine print on all these contracts. That's where the clauses come in. Like, he has to find a human woman to marry him, or else, like, he dies. And,
is that what the sequel's about?
He doesn't die. I think Christmas is just, like, over forever if he doesn't get like a Mrs. Claus immediately. And then all the women who end up there are like lobotomized immediately. And the only like female elves, like the like most powerful female elf is like Santa's waitress who just like brings him cookies. Truly fucked up.
Well, and he starts out like he's perhaps the first divorced Santa also.
Yeah, actually, I think the divorce rate is pretty high for Santas, actually. That's one of the jobs that's really hard on a partnership.
Yeah.
But,
did they ever get into like who was Santa before Tim Allen killed him? Like, was that the original Santa and this was just the first time a Santa had been killed?
I think Santa's like, it's a dangerous job.
Okay, so they die a lot.
Because he always carries that little card that's like, now you're
killed me. Now you're me.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I highly recommend the podcast, the Bechdel Cast's deep dive into the Santa Claus trilogy. It's really funny.
I'm pretty sure I never saw past the first one.
I think Martin Short is in one as Jack Frost.
Is he Jack Frost? Yeah, I remember him from like the poster, the cover of the movie.
Yeah, that movie is, I think, about like talks a lot about like fascism. Like he becomes like a fascist Santa.
I gotta watch that one. I've been watching like a bunch of, I posted about this on Twitter, but like a bunch of 90s movies with my kid. And it's so funny because they're all like bitter divorced dads who are trying to own the new boyfriend.
Oh, your new boyfriend is a therapist? Wow, what a pussy. And he wears turtleneck sweaters.
Oh my
God.
That's not like every second. Like, he's a shrink. He's not a real doctor.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
pussification of mom's new husband.
Yeah. They really do want you to like kind of hate the stepdad in the Santa Claus.
He's a
Stepdad,
perfectly normal.
stepmoms.
He cares a lot about.
Yeah, he's like good, but like initially you're like, oh, this guy's a fucking snob.
Yeah.
But it's like he's right. Like Tim Allen is acting deranged and should be around his
Yeah. Yeah, he gained like 200 pounds in a day. Like something bad is happening.
Maybe we should be careful.
Yeah. Not that there's anything wrong with weighing 200 pounds more. It's just like, it's a big change in
When
one
it happens
day.
that quickly,
When it
it's
happens,
like,
yeah.
Yeah. And when I think the larger thing, like, that would maybe be like, are you okay? Like, maybe you have a hormone thing. Like, maybe you should go to the doctor. I think the larger question is, like, he thinks he's Santa. That's more of a red flag.
Well, he does go to the doctor in the movie.
Oh, he does. Gosh, I haven't seen that one in a long time. But not a psych doctor, because that's for weenies.
That's not real.
Yeah. Okay, back to Joni.
Okay, so here's her third slide.
Humbug.
Well, she said something about humbug. Let me go back.
Buckets of essential workers struggling to provide for their own families. What a bunch of humbug.
That's not right.
What a bunch of humbug.
Yeah.
She's so natural on the stage.
Boss,
This is her tight 10.
I don't know if you are listening, but if you are, when you're making your list and checking it twice, remember that President Biden promised taxpayers that his Build Back Better plan costs $0.
She looks like
Okay.
she's trying to suck a massive dick.
Here, we'll watch that again then.
Yeah.
Costs
She's looking for the Michigan hammer.
$0. Doesn't waste any money on tax breaks for the wealthy, and adds, you guessed it, $0 to the national debt. To no one's surprise, that promise ended up being a fa-la-la-la-lot of
Oh my god.
malarkey.
What?
Damn.
What did
She's
she
using
say?
Joe Biden's words against him. she's
Yeah.
she's saying yes, malarkey.
All right, yeah, let me play that part for you again. It's really
Yeah.
good, and she's like really like kind of like, you know, playing up a little bit of sassiness with it.
Yeah. I think we need a little less malarkey and a little more Macaulay Culkin in the Home Alone beloved films.
To no one's surprise, that promise ended up being a fa-la-la-la-lot of malarkey.
But she
Why
should
don't you
have
just say
said,
fa
like-
la 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 lie?
Yeah, exactly. That's her. That would be so much better. That's definitely what I thought she was going to go for.
Also, the shit hasn't even passed
Fa-la-la-la-la-lot.
yet. The shit literally has not passed yet. Like, or if
Yeah.
it will.
That's true. I guess, yeah, this isn't impacting like the current economy in any way.
The night
Yeah.
before, it was 3:30. She'd just done a fat rail of coke, and she's like, "Okay, I got it." We start with Mariah. I get out the xylophone. We print Biden's tweets. It's all connected. Build back better. It's a lot of humbug.
Fa la 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 lot of malarkey. That might be her last visual aid. Here, yeah, let's watch her put Mariah back on the easel, and then we can quit with this.
Or putting gifts under the tree. So rather than passing another one of President Biden's budget-busting bills, the best gift that Washington can give taxpayers is to keep this from being a blue Christmas and simply stop making matters worse. Folks who have worked hard all year desperately deserve a break from the economic pressures being caused by Bidenomics so they can enjoy some time with their families. And unlike last Christmas, we can once again rediscover the true meaning of this holiday season by spending time with those we love the most. Just like Mariah sings about, make my wish come true. All I want for Christmas is you.
Isn't she implying it's a good thing then?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Wasn't the whole point of that like all of the materialist aspects? Like we can't actually do that because the economy is fucked. We're being forced to celebrate the real meaning of Christmas.
Spending time with our fucking family.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Hell.
After working hard all year, there's nothing worse than having to spend time with your families.
I
mean, we all have liberal family members, right? I mean, hate to be around them.
I don't know about you guys. I'm feeling extremely festive right now. Christmas can begin.
Every time she says Binomics, I think of Binomicon. The undead book of magic. That counters Santa's positive magic with evil magic.
Now that would be a good movie starring Tim Allen.
Do they just do that with every president? Like there was Reaganomics, and then do you just add nomics at the end of every president? It's like the current economy, it's all about this president. Bushonomics, Clintonomics. Clintonomics works.
That one works. I think certain names lend themselves better to the term.
Yeah, all of the ones that end with
Barackonomics.
We've had a lot of presidents whose names end with N. That's what that makes me notice.
Wow. Insightful.
That's what people listen to this show for.
The award-winning podcast.
Yeah.
But really, Reagan, Clinton, Biden.
At least, modern presidents for sure.
Yeah.
Nixon.
Washington. Lincoln.
It started out with an
Jefferson.
N. Yeah.
Damn, like all of
Washington.
the heavy hitters. Damn.
Lincoln.
Yeah. Truman.
Yeah.
How many, besides Obama, how many presidential names have ended with A? Any?
Probably not any.
This kind of reminds me of like, do you guys, there was this statistic going around a while back about how like more hospital like presidents or chief medical officers, one of like some type of high up person at like hospitals or health systems, more of them have mustaches and are named John than there are any women in that role. So there's more presidents that end with N than their names end with N than a variety of characteristics I'm sure we could come up with.
Yeah.
Lyndon B. Johnson
fit a certain mold. Yeah. I was going to, I pulled up my phone, so I was going to look up a list of presidents so I could remember all of them.
James Buchanan.
Van Buren.
Oh my God.
So many. But
Madison.
When I pulled up my phone, I had Googled Count Dooku.
Yeah.
Because when she said Dooku, I was like, oh, I should memorialize the actor who played Count Dooku, and I couldn't remember his name. That was Christopher Lee.
I was going to say, yeah, he's
very prolific
now,
actor,
isn't he?
Yeah, he died a few years ago. But
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure he's dead, but yeah, he's a really good character actor.
Rest in peace to Christopher Lee, a star of stage and screen for a very long time.
And brows.
I mean, he was like acting in like the 40s or something. He was around forever. Also played Saruman in the Lord of the Rings movies.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
That's the only thing I know him from.
So this is a rock hard caucus salute to Christopher Lee.
Hell yeah.
All right, so how do we want to end this program?
Should we talk a little bit about Chuck Grassley and his refusal to spend more money on his cable package?
Yeah, he's in a battle with his cable provider.
Do you think it's
Mediacom?
Most likely.
Yeah, I guess.
He's a high roller, so he uses Mediacom. It's for the Richies.
You know you're fucking ancient if you have a cable package.
Yeah, if you even have cable, then you're like, you're top 10%, you know.
Here, I'll read it.
Old.
Yeah.
So we don't talk like that often on the show about Chuck Grassley's tweets because it's almost like kind of hack at this point. Like everyone knows he's like an old moron who's like
Who loves
typing illegible tweets all day. They're funny, but it's like people know about him. We don't need to talk about it all the time. So he has like a long-running feud with the History Channel because they they aren't airing actual history programs all day. So
He's got a point. He's not wrong.
yeah,
We gotta listen to Chuck on this one.
yeah.
Like ancient aliens and like just a bunch of fucking conspiracy shit.
Yeah, like pawn shop reality shows.
Yeah.
But yesterday he tweeted this. My reward for blasting the History Channel for not having any history is that I have to subscribe anew. So DirecTV took it out of my package. That's how big corporations fight back.
personal vendetta against Charles Grassley. I can just like picture him like getting out his phone and leaning over to his wife of decades and saying, I'm going to put the History Channel, blast them. I'm going to put them on blast. Barb.
That's a pretty good Grassley voice.
Thank you.
The only person who watches the History Channel.
DirecTV took it out of my package. No, I'm getting into like David Lynch territory with that voice. So he has a DirecTV subscription apparently, but he believes that it was History Channel was removed from his subscription because he's an outspoken critic of them. And then a few hours later, he tweeted about this again. Just spent 45 minutes finding out why I don't have History Channel. Negotiations between 4 channels, including History and DirecTV. And there's like no punctuation in this, so I have to like interpret a little bit. Results. If I want History Channel, my bill go from $65 to $99. I'm not paying $34 for History Channel when there's not much history. Or should I change from Direct to Dish? He's doing like the like you at an airline and you like bitch at them.
Yeah, 100%.
And he's a U.S. senator.
Yeah, $34. Like, how much are we paying you, Chuck? Like,
Damn.
And like you only complain about the History Channel. Do you want them?
yeah.
I thought you didn't like it anymore.
He knows what his followers want, and so he needs more History Channel tweets.
That's true. He keeps the History Channel around for content, which I can understand. Given
very
some
relatable.
of the things we've spent money on for this show.
Yeah.
You don't get to be the oldest senator ever without like learning a little bit about what the people want and serving it to them.
Yeah.
More dead pigeons.
Kill more deer. Kill
Assume
more
deer
deer.
dead. See, this is what the podcast could be all the time, is us just like repeating Chuck Grassley memes.
Yeah. I did drive by the Windsor Heights Dairy Queen for the first time, like recently, or probably not the first time. The first time I noticed it. And I was like, that does look like a good place for you know what.
There's a nice obscured like alley behind it where you can get some you know what.
I used to live there. I used to live literally
At the
right
Dairy
behind
Queen?
that Dairy Queen.
You
No,
live at the
like
Dairy
I used
Queen?
to hang out in that alley all the time. Like, yeah.
You see any
it's-
you know what happening?
Oh yeah, that's 69th Street, no less.
Oh, hell yeah.
So yeah,
I like that Dairy Queen. It's good.
it's a pretty good Dairy Queen. God, that was a disgusting apartment though that I lived in, and worst landlord I ever had. That would be a fun episode someday about some of the worst landlords in Iowa.
Oh wow, yeah. I bet we could get a lot out of that.
Hmm. The proximity to the blizzards did not make up for the hundreds of dollars that landlords stole from me.
Damn.
Yeah.
All right. Well, to close things out, I want to let the listeners know that I put a design up on Redbubble. I redesigned a certain general store logo. It's been abandoned, and someone needs to, use this logo. It's got a very nice shade of yellow on it, and I think, everyone should be recognizing this logo for its beauty and not scrapping it for like a shitty just red rectangle with white text, you know?
That's beautiful. Yeah, it's like that's the meaning of the season.
So I'll put a link to that Redbubble store in the episode description. You can check out the merchandise for yourself. We're engaging in a little bit of capitalism for the holiday season.
That's what it's all about.
Just like
all
Senator
I
Ernst
want
would
for
want us to.
Christmas, yeah. All I want for Christmas is Redbubble merch.
I didn't mention that I saw Dobrain last night in person. I had that in my notes to talk about, but I forgot. There's not much to say. I just saw him, and it was alarming.
He was wearing like this very intense Washington Redskins jacket.
I think he wears that all the time.
Have you mentioned on the main feed, Justin, that the next Patreon book club will focus on further works of the prolific Joseph Dobrian?
No, I haven't really talked about that in public at all. But yeah, we will be at some point in the near future starting in on the next Joseph Dobrian book. It's a collection of essays called Seldom Right But Never in Doubt. So look forward
Very
to
accurate. Can you guys hear me? My mic kind of glitched out.
that. Yeah, we hear you, but you sound worse.
Okay, yeah, that's because I'm using my worst mic.
On your different mic, yeah.
I just wanted to send a personal message to Rob Sand. You're off the hook this time, but we're still watching you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was very clever of you to decide not to run for governor because you knew what would happen if you did.
Yes.
You think this podcast isn't going to be around when you run in a couple years? We'll be celebrating our 100th 10K Diamond episode, I'm sure, around then.
Absolutely. Hell yeah.
We are watching always.
Yes.
Rob Sands, stands and fans.
Yeah.
We are forced to stand. We are absolutely forced.
One more personal plug, then I have something for you guys, then we can go. My band Wombat just put out an album called Befriend the Giant. If you like weird improvisational, like noisy music, you will probably enjoy that. Now, last thing, Evan had this idea right before we started. I haven't talked with Natalie or Stella about this yet, but the Ray Gun gift certificates that we got for winning the Little Village Award. And also, I'm making deals with another Best of the Krandik winner to trade these other gift certificates for more Ray Gun gift certificates to share with you guys and also our co-host Chuck, who couldn't make it today. Evan's idea is that we use these Ray Gun gift certificates and do a Secret Santa among ourselves to buy each other a Ray Gun item.
The worst you can find.
Yeah, would you guys like to participate in that Secret Santa program?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it'd be a good reveal, too. Good episode for the Christmas spectacular.
Yeah, so I think that's going to be the basis of our Rock Hard Christmas episode for 2021. All right, so that's established. We'll get that done soon. And I think that's all we need to say today. Thanks again for voting for us. It's very important. We've I don't think we've gained really like anything.
It's kind of like when you reach like the pinnacle of your craft and you get the highest honor in your field. Like it's just you're still empty inside a little bit, but it's nice.
Yeah.
And Sims gets boring is when you reach like level 10 of your career and then
Yeah. But thank you fa la 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 lot.
Oh man.
Oh boy. Okay.
All right, we're done.
That's the end. That'll do it for Rock Hard Caucus episode 75. Goodbye.